Hello, Cancer friends. I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my Cancer November 2025 Astrology Horoscope Forecast. In this detailed report, I'm going to help you see what it's going to be like to be a Cancer in this month, what you're working with, some short-term influences, some long-term influences, and how it's going to feel to be a Cancer at this time. This is for you if Cancer is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Cancer placement you're listening for. What I'm going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. Very late degree Cancer friends, so birthdays like July 15th through the rest of the sign, or 23 degree Cancer placements through the rest of the sign. I suggest you additionally listen to my Leo report, as you very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. So I'm calling the general theme for this month for all signs the Labyrinth and the Lantern. And that is because we are featuring two zodiac stars that are really going to be very strong influences this month, which are Scorpio, which is the Labyrinth, and Sagittarius, which is the Lantern. So I'm going to go into a lot more details about what that means and what that looks like specifically for Cancer. But I want to give you some other important points first. This month, we are out of eclipse season, so some of the dramas that we've had over the previous months might start to settle down. If those dramas were from eclipse transits, then you will see like a general settling in of your nervous system from the radical change that may have come August, September, into October. So we've got a little bit of an integration break there. So that's exciting. We also have more sweet aspects this month compared to salty ones, as I like to call them, and which are the challenged aspects. So you will be feeling this month that, you know, those sweet, harmonious aspects sort of dominating the salty ones. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. I'm Annie Botticelli, astrology teacher for decades, YouTuber for 13 years, and I always try to give you what I think will help you make the most of the aspects that we've got going on, the starry climate, and not only just tell you what may happen, but also why, so that you're learning astrology as well. Real quick, in another window, while you're listening to this report, so that you don't forget later, go to anniehelpsyou.com and grab your free monthly written star report with the sweet and salty dates. I go into a lot more details about the actual dates and the aspects and what you can do with them in that report. You can get it for free at anniehelpsyou.com. Okay, so you will be feeling those sweet aspects, and we will talk about a couple of those. So something else that is really important to know is that we are in Mercury retrograde. I'm going to weave the Mercury retrograde story in and out of the things we discuss as I see it be relevant, but I'll give you some important dates. October 21st started the pre-shadow retrograde transit. November 9th, it actually goes retrograde. November 29th, it goes direct. And December 17th is the point at which the post-retrograde shadow transit has completely cleared and we are out of the whole retrograde transit. All right. So you can see from those dates that the entire month of November is in retrograde. So this is going to be a month that it's maybe a little bit harder to plan further ahead. It may be a little bit harder to see further ahead, similar to having a lantern in a dark space. You can see only a few steps ahead of you. And in retrograde months like this, if you're trying to see and plan beyond, you know, a short period of time, you may have more trouble. So this is a time to deal with the squeaky wheels, you know, if there are things on your desk that needed to be dealt with, if there's emails you keep getting about a certain thing, like catching up with those things rather than the lofty goals, the big dreams, the, you know, things you're trying to launch and push out. And, you know, those bigger, longer term dreams may distill down into some background details at this time. And you will see what I mean. Now, by nature of the not only Mercury retrograde, but also Jupiter is going retrograde on November 11th. November 11th, 11/11 portal, magical time. We have Jupiter going retrograde, and that's adding to this picture of certain things starting to slow down. All right, so you will see things slowing down this month, but there will be certain things, like for instance, in the days around the 27th, Saturn will go direct. So there are certain things that are starting to slow down and certain things that are starting to wake up. And the way that you can have the least amount of frustration and the most amount of ease is when those things start slowing down, rather than stressing about that, flow with the things that are rolling now. Okay, because you can align your energy behind the things that are flowing. Now, there may be certain things you just have to do, you just have to push them through, and you have to put the effort in. But in general, this month, you are standing on the shore and the tides are coming in, and you are waiting to see what the tides bring you rather than trying to push things out on outgoing tides, because the outgoing tides stopped October 21st, and the outgoing tides aren't going to start flowing again until December, and they won't really be flowing out until the middle of December. Okay, so the more you try to push out, the more these things will push in, but you may have certain pockets that are ready to take flight. And if you pay attention to those, you can just jump in a magical, on a magical carpet of rising above the other retrograde things, because you're, finding a current that's moving forward. So you can pay attention to that. Now, on that topic, Jupiter went into Cancer in June of 2025. It will be there for a year until almost July of 2026. For all signs, Jupiter is expanding the realm of home and housing and family and the inner psychological world, our ancestry, our genetics, our childhood psychology that has echoed into our adult relationships. So there's something expanding in that space from this transit that may start slowing down. Maybe you've been making progress, or maybe you've been having a lot going on in the home and family sector and you get a break. But, there is that change this month. So at the same time as certain things are starting to slow down because of Mercury retrograde, because of Jupiter retrograde in your sign, Saturn on the 27th of November is going to wake up. And so certain things are going to start to awaken. So you will find this magical current of forward movement within this sea of retrograde. And the more you can ride that current and focus on the things that are lighting up for forward movement, the less you'll have the stress and frustration from trying to force things to happen in the places where things are starting to go backwards. Every 12 years, we have Jupiter in our own sign for around a year. And since June, you've had Jupiter in your sign. And it's been going direct. Now it's going to go retrograde on the 11th of November. And that's the magic 1111 star portal. Very exciting. And then for around 4 months, it will be retrograde. And then it will move forward and then go through the whole sign of Cancer. So Jupiter expands everything that it touches. And when it's going through your sign, it's wanting to expand everything about, well, first of all, home, family, and housing, right? Because that is the sign is moving through. Your inner world, ancestry, genetics, the childhood psychology, the patterns from childhood that you're echoing out into your adult time. So some of those things may have been moving forward in a very big way in recent months, and now you may see a slowdown. Now, for Cancer, Jupiter going through Cancer is in your first house, which is your physical body, it's your recognition, it's your place out in the world. So there may have been some things expanding for you, your self-image, your job, your, vitality, that may seem to be slowing down. So if you notice a slowdown and you don't like the slowdown, don't worry. Jupiter's not forsaking you. Jupiter likes to build skyscrapers. And in order to build a good, solid, safe skyscraper, you have to have a very solid foundation. And during the retrograde for about 4 months starting now, it's checking the foundation to make sure you can rise as high as you're meant to in this arena of your life. Now, Jupiter in the first house does sometimes also make people gain weight because it expands. And then when it goes through your physical body, it expands your physical body literally. So in this retrograde, you may start to be able to get a handle on that, the weight topic. And the retrograde may also help you access information and healing on psychological reasons why there is a tendency to do something that would create not being at your perfect, healthiest weight. So, things with your physical body and your health are going to come into the picture here, and you will see that happening. Okay, so let's see what else we've got going on. Okay, so I'm going to give you some more dates later, but for now, let's dive into these zodiac superstars this month. We've got Scorpio. Venus will get to Scorpio very soon in the month. The sun is there. Lilith is there just for, we'll very quickly change it to Sag. Mars is there, and Mercury will retrograde back into Scorpio. And then in the days around the 19th, there's a new moon at 28 degrees of Scorpio. This is a water moon, so this is exciting. This is going to make a beautiful angle for you all, Cancer placements. Everyone can get the yummies from this, and I'll talk about what yummies those may be. But you may see more noticeable outcomes if you're a late degree friend. So those same friends who I said, listen to the Leo report, if you're towards the end of the sign, especially like 23 degrees on, so this is going to be like the last week of the sign, so like the 15th on or so, you all may see a more noticeable blessing from this new moon. But everyone else isn't left out of the goodness. It's just sometimes we can see things more noticeably when we have a direct angle. But there's so much going on in this water section, all of that Scorpio, all of this Pisces. There are no Cancers being left out of the beautiful water party, so don't worry about that. So what is Scorpio all about? Scorpio is all about intimacy. It's about those deep resources that we have, the wellspring within ourselves of emotion and connection. It's about our entanglement with other people, financially, emotionally, sometimes romantically, sometimes in business. And it's about money and mysterious topics like investments and crypto and just things that are hard to understand what the heck they are. They're mysterious on their own. Credit, debt, anything that has to do with shared resources, inheritances, taxes, borrowing money, loaning money. So those topics and those type of discussions are going to come up this month very strongly. You may be talking about wills. You may be talking about inheritances. You may be considering, these types of questions and having to have these types of conversations. So that's all happening. Now, fortunately for Cancer placements, this is all happening in a nice angle for you. And it's lighting up your fifth house of Leo, which is your passion and your excitement and what brings you great joy and fun. It's also children, everything from the spark of romance, true love, children, child rearing, creative babies that aren't children. All of that is the fifth house. So all of this intense, intimate water energy is going to light this up for you and be in that great angle. So, expect inspiration, expect romance, expect deep conversations about money and, important types of questions about power and intimacy and empowerment. All of that is happening. Now, we do start out the month with a ton of Sag. Mars gets there right at the beginning. Mercury is there direct and is going to go retrograde. Juno, Vesta, Estrella is all there. The sun will get there later in the month, around the 21st. Lilith will get there right there at the beginning of the month. So we have a major Sag party. So there is this dynamic I'm calling the labyrinth and the lantern, right? So the Scorpio is the labyrinth and the lantern is Sagittarius. So you've got this maze of emotion, this maze of connection. And then you've got this light, this optimism, this clarity, this higher viewpoint, like a bird's eye view, looking at for solutions and for solving problems. So there's a lot of optimism. There's a lot on the topic of teaching and learning and international business and languages and culture and international travel. And, so there's, there could be a lot of work opportunities along those lines, a chance for you to teach, a chance for you to learn, a chance for you to travel and earn money. Those kind of things may combine that way. Also, this has to do with animals and pets. You may be trying to get into working with animals, or if you already are, there could be some noteworthy things there. Or you may already be a teacher or teaching or have content or be a content creator. And all of that will be expanded in wonderful ways. This is also your house of health. So you may be experimenting with different ways of doing things to add to your vitality and to make less drudgery in your daily experience. You may have lots of adventures and new ways of doing things. And it's a very exciting time. It's a very, very ebullient, very overflowing. And it's a really good time to try things on. In general, Mercury retrograde is a great time to try things on. And then you've got the Sag energy experimenting, getting its fingers in a lot of pudding pies, as I like to call it. And, you'll really be feeling that this month. Just a chance to expand, a chance to broaden your horizons. Could even be just from a great mystery series, Scorpio Rules Mysteries. A great psychology book, Scorpio Rules Psychology, Sagittarius Rules the education part of it. If you've been wanting to learn something, maybe you'll take a course. There's a lot of depth from the Scorpio and breadth from the Sag. So you've got both things there. So you may take some of these things that you're excited about and go really deep with them. This is definitely a month of zealotry because Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto, co-ruled by Mars, both planets of obsession. Sagittarius, is ruled by Jupiter, which is Zeus, which is the ruler of all the gods and goddesses, and the one that has the most penchant for excess. So we've got a lot of zealotry going on here. So you just got to be careful you don't overdo the wrong things and take the opportunity to start to focus a lot of this obsessive, passionate energy with getting your vitality back, your vibrant health, learning different things, teaching what you know, possibly traveling, and merging into deeper connections with people close to you. This could be friendships too, just someone where you're more vulnerable, a situation where you become more vulnerable, and there will be lots of opportunities to that. Okay, so I want to give you a few more dates. The November 5th is the full supermoon in Taurus at 13 degrees. And we have 3 supermoons, October, November, December. So that's the second of 3. Fullness, completion, fruition, drama coming to something in the financial sector, your earned income, your value as an employee or as a business owner, your being a maker project. Taurus rules, I like to call it a maker sign, because things that you do with your hands is very much Taurian. So you'll see that fullness, completion, fruition, drama, possibly secret or hidden information coming out in the material realm. And then specifically for Cancer, that Taurus energy is going to be in your 11th house. And it's at a nice angle for you too. So you may have a really great networking opportunity or a really great opportunity to bond with your community and have really great conversations, have some help and support in your process of empowerment, join groups or lead groups, add your creative flair to a group, a community project, internet-based, social media, things like that. So that full moon is going to bring all of those things out. And I told you we go over a couple of aspects, so I am going to go back to that. There's the new moon at 28 degrees of Scorpio on the 19th. We mentioned that before. On the same day, there's an aspect with Mercury, now back in Scorpio by this point, from the retrograde, making a trine to Neptune in Pisces. So this is really exciting because this is going to accentuate your 9th house of Sagittarius. Okay, so Sagittarius rules the 9th house, and anything that goes on there has all of the essence of what I talked about here with the Sag placements moving through your 6th house. The expansion, the growth, the luck, the benevolence, the optimism, the creative solutionist attitude. So something is happening there. Travel, different countries, different languages. So that new moon has this really great aspect for teaching and learning. Besides all the Sag placements that are already doing it, you also have this this new moon in the days around the 19th to give extra oomph to some long-term movements that are occurring there. So you've got a lot going on in your house of education and expansion in the long term. We've got from the end of 2024 to the first half of 2027, transiting North Node. The moon will pass through there quickly. We're not going to talk about that. Saturn back in Pisces for a little while longer. Neptune dipping back into Pisces for the last time before it stays solid into Aries. You've had a lot of activity here. And this aspect is going to bring some more to light. Now, on the topic of water placements, Venus is going to be getting into Scorpio, as I told you. My favorite aspect is in the days around the 26th, Venus in Scorpio is going to trine Jupiter in Cancer. So your Jupiter moving through your sign is going to get a beautiful boost when it connects in the days around the 26th with Venus. Love, beauty, money, relationship, self-esteem. Beautifully kissed by Jupiter in the best possible aspect. So you could get something solidified within yourself that really needed to get there. Something where you strengthen, your certainty about something, where your intuition and your emotional connection, something involving your family or something involving housing could also be relevant there. If you didn't already, jump over to AnnieHelpsYou.com and grab your free monthly written star report with my sweet salty dates for November. If you want to learn astrology, I do also have mini lessons there. And if you want to learn astrology with a more comprehensive system, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and see my astrology mastery certification course. If you think I put a lot into my free offerings, and I do, you should see what I put into that course. If you want to learn astrology, especially if you want to earn money, I can tell you how to do that. But even if you want to learn just for yourself, you can check that out at beastropro.com. If you want personalized reports with my take on some things in your chart, I've got an outer planet transit report, and I've got one to help you with your highest expression in this lifetime involving the nodes. You can go to Annie the letter B Clarity.com. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.